auto mask, invert mask, range mask? What the heck are they and what's the difference? Hi, I'm Valerie from Valerie's Photo Channel with a new Lightroom Classic tutorial on masks. Some people have had questions about masking in Lightroom, so I thought I'd do a short tutorial explaining the differences between several different types of masks and just what they are in the first place. Masks are super useful tools in Lightroom. Basically, they let you tell Lightroom what areas of a photo get specific edits or adjustments. There are 3 local adjustment tools that allow masking so you can edit just certain areas of your photos. They're the adjustment brush, the radial filter, and the graduated filter. So anytime you use one of these tools, Lightroom creates a mask, so only the area that you're brushing on with the adjustment brush, for example, gets affected. In this image, I'm going to take the adjustment brush and let's bring the exposure down, and I'm just going to brush in the sky. That is a mask because only the area where I brushed was affected by this adjustment. And if you are making something a lot more subtler than that, some kind of adjustment, and I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to click on Show Select Mask Overlay. And this can be really helpful when you're making subtle adjustments so you can see exactly where you're working. You can get to Selected Mask Overlay either by clicking on this box down here at the bottom, or you can also hit the O key on your keyboard to toggle it on or off. There are 2 mask features to help you get more precise adjustments without getting areas that you didn't want: the auto mask and the range mask. We'll look at the auto mask first. The auto mask is only available with the adjustment brush, not the radial filter or the graduated filter. Auto mask senses where the edges of things are and helps you from accidentally brushing where you don't want to. So when you've activated the adjustment brush, scroll to the bottom of the panel. First I'm going to just zero out the effects here, and scroll down to the bottom of the panel, and you'll see that I have auto mask checked. You'll want to keep that checked most of the time. So in this example, I've got my adjustment brush, and I've got a fairly big brush, and I'm going to mask the flower. And as long as I keep the plus sign within the petals of the flower, then only the flower should be masked. And if you do accidentally make a mistake and brush somewhere outside that you didn't want to, all you need to do is hold down the Alt key, the plus turns into a minus, and then you can use that to erase. So you can see that masking makes it really quick for selecting an object. And then I'm going to hit the O key just to hide the overlay. And I'm going to scroll up to the top of the panel here, and let's make this flower kind of bluey purple. I'm going to bring the blue all the way to the left. I'm going to bring the pink to the right and make it kind of bluey purple. And you can see that the only part of the image that was affected was the flower where I created the mask. Some people have asked, how can I invert my mask? In other words, how can I have the adjustments applied to the opposite of what I brushed? Well, invert mask seems like such a simple thing, and while it is available in Photoshop, it's not in Lightroom except for with the radial filter, which I'll show you in a moment. So the best workaround with the adjustment brush is to get a really large brush and paint over the whole image. In this instance, I'm going to uncheck auto mask because I just want to cover this whole image. And I'm going to hit the O key again so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to brush over the whole image. Now, if I want to exclude the flower this time from my adjustments, if I want to remove them from the mask, then I would hit the Alt key and keep that held down while I brush out the flower. And you can see that I still have the previous mask I applied where I turned the brush, or turned the flower kind of blue color. So that will remain. and that pretty much brushes it out. Then I'm going to hit the O key again just to hide the mask, and let's go up to the top here and let's increase the exposure. And remember, we removed the flower from that particular mask, and as you can see, you can have multiple masks on an image. And I'm just bringing up the exposure on the background, and I'm not affecting the flower here. So when you're done, you can just hit the done button. Now let's look at the radial filter, where you do have an invert mask option. Let's use the radial filter to draw an oval around this cute little puppy here. And I will show you how invert works. So if we scroll down to the bottom of the box, you see we have this option to invert the mask or invert the radial filter. So first I'm going to show you so we can see how it works. Let's take down the exposure, and I want to show you something you have to watch out for. Right now the feathering is set to 1. I'm going to double click it to reset it to the default, which is 50, which gives it nice soft edges. And you can see that the outside of the image now is darker, and you have nice soft graduated edges, and the puppy remains nice and bright. So if I click on invert, then the opposite happens, and the outside of the image remains as the original, and now the puppy looks dark. So that's what invert mask does in the radial filter. The other type of mask is range mask. This became available with Lightroom CC version 7.2, I believe. So if you have an older version such as Lightroom 6 Desktop, you won't have the range mask option, but if you have Lightroom CC and you're keeping it up to date, you should have range mask. Range masks are available with all the local adjustment tools, the graduated filter, the radial filter, and the adjustment brush. In order to activate the feature, you have to have applied adjustments using one of these 3 adjustment tools. With range mask, you can create a luminance mask or a color-based mask. The color range mask applies your adjustments just to the areas based on the color range you selected. Here's a quick example. I have my adjustment brush, and I'm going to click on Show Mask Overlay, and I'm going to brush on the whole image. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom of the panel, and where it says range mask, it's currently set to off, so I'm going to hit the up-down arrows and select color. I'll hide the overlay, and then I'm going to select this little dropper that popped up, and you can either click on it to select your color, or else click and drag, which I find works a little better with more complex images. And it should only select the sky. So let's just go back to our overlay, and it did a pretty good job. We could do a little bit better down here. So right below the range mask, you'll see an amount slider. If you just move that to the right, you can pick up a little bit more of those grasses. Then I'm going to hide the overlay again, and let's go up to the top of our panel, and why don't we make the sky a little bluer. If we want to maybe bring down exposure just a hair, and then let's go look at the before and after of our adjustments. So this is the after. You'll see this little triangle to temporarily turn off the adjustments. So I'm going to turn them off and back on. And you can see that the mask only was applied to the sky area. Now the other type of range mask is luminance mask, and this works with the lightness and darkness in your image. So in this image, I'm going to use the graduated filter, and I want to make the sky a little bluer and deeper without affecting this tree in the foreground. So I'm going to add a graduated filter, then scroll down to the bottom of the panel and change range mask to luminance. And I'm going to click on Show Luminance Mask. And there are two things you can do. One, you can use again the dropper and select in an area that you want your mask, and it will help eliminate areas that you didn't want. So that worked pretty good. I'm just going to replace it by clicking back here. And you can also make adjustments manually to the range by using this slider. If you slide it to the left, you can see that it's going to affect the tree more. If I slide it to the right, it will eliminate the tree from the mask. And you can also make this adjusted if you need to. And then I'm going to hide the Luminance mask. And let's go up here and let's see, we'll make the sky a little bluer. Maybe take down the highlights. And then let's look at the before and the after. Well, here is the after, and I'm going to turn off the graduated filter. And so you can see that's another way of making adjustments using the range mask. So I hope this tutorial gives you a better understanding of how masks work. I do have another tutorial specifically on range masks. I'll put up a link. And if you found this one useful, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to my channel to get all of my Lightroom tutorials. Thanks for watching. Until next time.